Hello everyone, welcome to Beyond Events with Dawat USA. I'm Manu Mazam Khan, your host, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys and our esteemed guest. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome the face behind Samanah Ansari photography, the lady herself, Miss Samanah Ansari. Hi Samana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. Are you excited to be here?
Very excited and very honored as well.
That's great. So I'll tell you the theme for our podcast today, which is very exclusively designed for you. So our theme for the podcast today is exploring the world through the lens of Samanah Ansari. So I'm just going to be telling you a bit about how we're going to go about our podcast. So it's going to be divided into multiple rounds. So for the first round, we're going to be talking about your journey, and then after your journey, we're going to be delving deep into how you started your business, how you transitioned into wedding photography, and then we're going to be having a very interesting rapid fire round, which I'm primarily very excited about, and I hope you are as well. And then we're going to be talking about your business future plans and so on and so forth. And then towards the end, we have an interesting surprise for you. So yeah, let's dive into it. Are you excited?
Sure, I am.
Okay. So, Samana, let's begin by first talking about your journey and how you started your business. So, my first question to you would be that how did you first become interested in photography? What is something that inspired you to start photography or pursue it as a career or passion?
So back in 2010, when I was in A-levels, I started A-levels then. I was one of those kids in the group who would always have my camera with me, and it was like a small simple camera, and I would take pictures of my friends and come back home, post them on Facebook, like Facebook albums hote the us time pe. And so I always had this interest in photography, but I had no idea that I would end up having a career in this. My sister actually picked up on it, and then I went to NCA for my undergrad degree in architecture, and that's when my sister actually gifted me my first camera, and it was a DSLR, and I started taking photos. But then even then, because where I was, वहाँ पे लोग actually film and TV पढ़ रहे थे, and I was an architecture student and I had no prior knowledge, proper knowledge. So I was always not insecure, but I'd say I never really had the confidence to showcase my work or to take it as a serious profession. It was only until after I graduated, and I'd say my family supported me here and my friends. It was when my niece was born, my sister's daughter, same sister. I started taking her photos. We were in the hospital, and I remember I just took my camera and I took her photos, and in that moment, I realized that the love that I'm documenting is so pure, and the emotions were so real. It was nothing fake. I could literally freeze a moment, and a very pure moment, and that feeling, it felt really good. But it was time, maybe I didn't think that, that I could make a business out of it, because, who would have known, right? And then after that, a few of her friends saw those photos, and a few of my friends saw those photos. So one of her friends got in touch with me, and she said, "Oh, could you also take my baby's photos?" And I was like, "Okay, I can." And then another person came through word of mouth, and then the third person who came was like, "How much do you charge?" And I was like, "Well, I don't, but I could." And that's how I did my first shoot. And once I started doing it properly and professionally, that's when I actually invested in it as a business, and then that's how it started.
Oh, that's amazing. That's kind of an interesting story. So, Samana, you've said, and just generally as well, photography is a very creative process, right?
Yeah.
So, and whilst being a creative process, it can also be a business. So, how do you perhaps balance the creative aspect of photography whilst incorporating that into a business form?
So it is a creative process, and it's a very long one as well. From planning the shoots to outfits to actually execution, and then mood boards and everything. It is a long process. Having said that, it is also a business. And for business, you need to have a business plan, and you need to have a strategy, right? Now with photography, because unfortunately a lot of people don't take it very seriously. There are people who come to me and they're like, "Oh, सिर्फ 5 photos ले लें, या सिर्फ 10 photos ले लें." My point here is that when you go to a clothing store and they're selling an outfit with a dupatta and a shirt and trouser, you don't say कि बस हमें एक shirt चाहिए, आप ये dupatta और trouser रख लें, right? So I feel boundaries need to be drawn if you are to consider this as a serious business, and that is where you need your business plan. That is where you need to have a strategy. So again, budget and financing is also something that's really important when you're thinking of it as a business. So that's how I consider.
Fair, relevant. That totally makes sense. So, you said that you started with, like filming your sister's niece, and then, you started with family and baby photography, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you eventually transition into doing like wedding photography? So, how's that transition? When could you take us along?
So I always had this creative thirst, I would say. I was doing baby photography and I was very happy doing it. But then I also wanted to explore more, and I feel like I manifested it in a way because I was enjoying what I was doing, but also I wanted to like have a little more creative freedom with the work that I was doing. And I just started having this thought in my head, okay, I want to do more now. I didn't have any direction. I didn't know if I wanted to go into fashion or into like weddings or corporate at that point in time. And it was only like in that moment, I'm not even kidding, like I had this thought, and like I feel like maybe like the week after, a friend of mine got in touch with me and she said, I love your work and I want you to cover my engagement. And I was like, but I don't like do weddings. She was like, yeah, but you can, and I know that you can. And that's how I was like, okay. So that was the first event, not even an event, it was the first shoot that I did. And again, I feel like when you're really into, when you're like really passionate about something and when you're really into it, I feel like even your clients can sense it, people around you can feel it, and then they enjoy it as well. And also because it was my friend, so my first shoot was very casual, it was a lot of fun. So the pictures that came out were very natural. And then she was also my first bride. I also ended up doing her wedding, and then, and that's how I started that. And once I did weddings and events, not just events, actually the couple shoot that happens before that. I feel like that really, like that was a good enough drive for me to like, look into it more, because there was so much we can do. There was art direction, mood boards, like a lot of art involved in it, and a lot of creative freedom that I was looking for.
I feel like you've kind of like, you mentioning like couple photo shoots is kind of setting the premise for the next question, which I have for you.
Yeah.
So, like as a wedding photographer, what are generally some tips that you have, for couples in order to create like a relaxing environment for them, so you are able to capture the perfect, most intimate moments of them in like, a wedding setting?
So the most important thing is to be comfortable around the couple and for them to be comfortable around you. So for that, I recommend that we do like a pre-wedding session where we just, sit, chat, talk about the, about what the couple likes and what like sharing ideas, just brainstorming. And doing that in person, I feel like is very important. So you get to know each other better. Then on the day of the shoot, usually it's not that difficult because now couples like know each other, but there are also couples who are very awkward around each other because arranged marriages and all, right? So usme what we do is that I ask them to like loosen up a little bit, feel that you're embracing the moment, like just be yourself. You don't have to like pose. You don't have to like, I mean, it is about posing at the end of the day, but there's also an art, right, to it. Like there's also a way of posing without looking stiff, and then I act it out for them. I tell them how to do it, and if somebody's like really, really awkward, then I just take them to a side and have this conversation and try to have them, try to make them more comfortable.
Yeah, fair.
So that's one thing. And then also like one thing that I really do is that I don't turn off my camera even when we're not shooting. So that's when you get the real moments, because if somebody is crying or somebody's like, having a moment, that's when you really capture emotion. So it's not just when you're directing somebody, it's also when they're interacting. So I ask them to interact. I ask them to talk about something that they both love, or think about their future, not like future plans, but like, okay, so where are you guys going for your honeymoon? And then they would start telling me, okay, these are our travel plans. And then like just have conversations with them and make them feel like they're not like at a shoot, because obviously they're not professional models, right?
Absolutely.
So one thing that I would recommend people to do would be to like really like not just get, I don't know.
Loosen
up, no, but like also just be
yourself.
Also for the photographers to kind of really get lost in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
There's no other way I can put it. Like just make sure that your presence is not felt by those people, because you have to blend in with the background. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
That's something that I would.
Absolutely, and I feel like that's amazing. How you just like put it perfectly that way, because I feel like the best moments are caught in candid.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a
So
way
if you're
to
in their
like.
face with a camera, you can't really get that.
True, yes. And I feel like that kind of creates like a comfort zone for them to blend in as well, and then that's how you get the best moments out of it. So Samana, you also said how your forte is also family photography, right?
Yeah.
And you've obviously had a lot of photo shoots with different families. So can you tell us about like a heartwarming, memorable moment where you sort of photographed a family which created a lasting impact on the family that you photographed as well as yourself?
I clearly remember one. It was a newborn shoot, and I think the baby was like a month and a half old, or maybe a month old. And I remember that it was only a baby session, and the mother was very emotional. It was only the mom, and the moment, so when I'm shooting, I usually just handle the baby myself. But sometimes to feed and everything, I just give the baby over to the parents. And when she held the child, I could notice that something was just different. And obviously, like, I didn't want to like ask any questions, but she just started talking herself. And a lot of mothers who come to me, they're dealing with postpartum issues and all, like they're already like emotional and stuff. But this mom, she started talking to me and she said, we just adopted this baby. And that just like, I don't know, the kind of love that she had for the child, I'd never seen that before. Like, and I love how people are like opening up to these options as well, because this was my first and probably my only shoot. The client actually told me, and honestly, I that moment was so heartwarming, because she said like they had difficulty having a child, and she's finally adopted one. And she was like, बहुत मेहनत, बहुत मुश्किल के बाद they came from somewhere. They weren't in Pakistan, and they came just to adopt that baby. So that was just one shoot that really touched me, and I feel like that's the kind of love I'd never documented before, and I'll always remember that shoot.
That's amazing. And like just generally as well, it's moments like these that kind of leave a lasting impact on you and just generally your photography career as well.
For sure.
So, like, do you have any tips, like generally for other family photo shoots that you've perhaps had? Like, do you have any tips to offer to families to make, as to how they can make the most of their family photo shoots? Like, any tips for them to follow?
So the first thing I would ask families to do is to make sure that their babies are well fed and well slept.
Okay.
Not to plan your shoot around the time that they have to nap, because so the thing is, with adults, you get to like pose and you get to like do your thing, but with babies you really can't. They're the bosses there, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really make sure that you plan it accordingly, and other than that, keep it natural. Like, you don't have to also like keep your makeup natural. Like, just be yourself. Maybe just show up in a plain tee and jeans. Like, that's because it is all about emotions. I feel like family shoots are about capturing the essence of like the love that you have with your child, and it doesn't have anything to do with like fancy clothes and dressing and brands. And I mean, you know what I mean, like it's always better to keep it simple. Yeah. Number one. And another thing that I would recommend would be to keep movement, just love your child the way you do, the way like you hold your child at home. And with toddlers, I have this activity where I ask dads to play with their kids. Maybe they can do nose to nose or cheek to cheek. And if you like think of cheek to cheek, it sounds cheesy, but like when you get a photo of a dad and a baby like so close and cuddled together, it looks really cute. So that's just something that I would say, like, don't get conscious in front of the camera. Just be yourself, and be yourself with your baby as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The minimalistic, the better, the natural, the better.
The natural, the better,
like,
for sure.
Perfect, like, like put it. So, like, I feel like we're all like amazing storytellers and, just generally, but I feel like visual storytelling is just a lot harder that way, in order to like film it and like put it on camera and then, just show it to the world, like reflect that, so that love is reflected in the photograph itself. So, Samana, how do you approach visual storytelling? Could you tell us a bit about your process?
So it depends on what kind of a shoot it is. If it's like a wedding shoot, like a pre-wedding shoot, our process is very simple. We first we sit with the client, we talk about what kind of a vibe they're going for, right? Like, some people want completely traditional, some want modern, and then so then once we know what we're doing, that's when we set the tone of the shoot. That's when we work on the mood boards. And for film, we do storyboarding as well, because we want to know, we don't want to shoot and then decide कि अब हमने क्या करना है. We want to know what we're doing. So other than the mood boards and everything, we just make sure that we I genuinely believe that there's a lot in details. So visually, I don't believe in following the rules as such that a photo should be like a perfect composition. And I know it's all about composition as well, but you can also really focus on the details and compose them in a way that they can tell their own story. Like just the way you hold hands can show so much about a story. So that's what we really focus on as well. And we incorporate all of that in mood board, so we know that our client is also on the same page.
And I feel like that's also reflected on your Instagram page when, we visit that. And, like, I feel like your photos actually tell stories, and that is something that...
That's such a good compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I feel like that's something that we look for in photographers. But just generally also, I'm sure, like, you entering the photography industry, there must have been a certain photographers, male or female, that, you must have looked up to or resonated with. So, can you tell us a bit about like one or two of them that you'd look up to?
For sure.
Perhaps?
So when I started photography, because baby photography was my niche back in the day, and so I went to Dubai. I took proper training from the best Australian photographers. So there are a couple of them that I really like. I admire their work and them, like their business strategies and everything. I don't know if I should, if I can name them,
yeah,
but like
sure, you can name them as well.
Kat Wee is a very famous name in the industry. She's Australian, and then Leah is another person that I mean, she literally trained me. So that, and then other than that, I feel like there's so many photographers in Pakistan now. And when you come, like when you talk about weddings and other genres in fashion, I feel like Iza is one of the biggest names, and she's amazing at what she does. So I definitely look up to her as well. Her work is brilliant. And Pakistan, there's so many people that you can
absolutely
look up to. So I feel like I look at international people as well and Pakistanis as well. But what I really do is I put my head down and I also focus on my work, because it can be very intimidating to look at all the work that people are doing around you. So you have to keep like a fine balance.
True. I think this also kind of like allows us to transition on to our next question, which was also about, just how in the digital space it's difficult to navigate through everything that's happening around you. So, like my question to you would be, in the age of social media and technology, how has the landscape of photography changed, and how have you as a photographer sort of navigated through the technological challenges that you've came across?
Right. So because it's an ever evolving industry and you really need to keep up with the times, I feel like if you remember growing up, हमारे जो parents की videos होती थी, they were like really funny because like close-ups would come and they would bounce off the screen. Like I think everybody remembers those. Yeah, and वो उस वक्त का trend था, and I feel like उस वक्त, because social media wasn't there, we didn't really it wasn't easy to grow as a photographer. Also because magazines में आपको नजर आ जाता था कि internationally क्या हो रहा है, या आप TV में देख लेते थे. But now because of social media, everything is so like you can reach whatever, like you can get whatever information you want, and that has really helped everybody evolve and grow. And I feel like you can really keep up with times as well. For instance, पहले photos का जो concept था, like if you remember, like my dad tells me कि camera रखा होता था और लोग उसके आगे बस बैठे हुए होते थे, so it doesn't get blurred, and you have to because of the shutter speed. Now it's all about breaking the rules again. So now we actually change the shutter speed as such कि we get bright photos, because that's art now. So that's how important it is, and people are more accepting because of, oh हाँ हमने वहाँ देखा था, अच्छा ये this is very trending. So even like people like your clients who hire you, they are up to date. They know what's in, and then they show you references. They're like, okay, this is the sort of style that we want, and so I feel like social media is not just helping us as photographers. It is also helping clients, because they know what they want, and this is something that we always tell our clients also, that you can always come to us and show us what you have in mind, but we will not copy it again, because we will try to like incorporate that in our mood board and like do something similar, but not copy it exactly. So इसके I feel like pros and cons दोनों भी हैं, because sometimes they come to you and they're like यही चाहिए, and I'm like exactly ऐसे नहीं कर सकते, because that's somebody else's work. But having said that, I feel like we've grown so much because of social media, and I'm so glad that we have.
I feel like that stamp or footprint should always be there, because that kind of sets you apart from other people.
100%.
And like you brought up the topic of, previous era, 20 years back, perhaps we look at a video. The other day we were looking at like, my mom's like wedding video.
Yeah.
And like the songs that they've kind of like used in them, and all of those things, how they've transitioned over time, like how it's zooming in, zooming out, all of those things. So perhaps I feel like every era has its like own transition, own things going on, and aesthetics are evolving as well. So absolutely. And I feel like, just generally as well, I'm sure you must have certain like series or projects that you've probably worked with which you're like absolutely proud of. Like I'm sure, like I saw so many of them on your page as well. But generally, can you share with us about like a certain series or project that you worked on and you're super proud of, or perhaps might be coming for you?
I'm glad that you asked the question and you use the word series, because that's how we're rebranding my brand. It's going to be called Samana series. I haven't like officially launched it, but the reason why we're doing this is because we have multiple series to offer. We have baby series, corporate series, wedding series, and I feel like I'm proud of all of it, because it's not easy to manage so many genres all together, and being able to do so successfully, alhamdulillah, with the team, I feel like as a whole, this is something that I'm really proud of. So I can't really like pick one series out of these. I feel like a lot of effort is put into all of these.
That's so amazing, and we absolutely can't wait for it to be out already.
Thank you.
Okay, so Samana, so my next question to you would be like, you're a female photographer or female entrepreneur in the industry, and photography in many aspects is considered like a male-dominated industry, right? So can you tell us a bit about any challenges that you've encountered and how you've dealt with them as a female photographer in the industry?
So I mean, as a female photographer, there are challenges, I'm not gonna lie, but I also feel like times are now changing. Girls are killing it. We have such big names in the industry now, and they're mostly all girls.
True.
So that's something that I'm really, really proud of. Personally, I haven't really had an encounter where I was uncomfortable in any situation. But I do feel like where you have to show your authority as a female lead photographer, it does become a little difficult because you're managing a team, and especially coming from like our society and how difficult it is for women to like really be assertive. But the key here is to be assertive. The key here is to make people take you seriously, and they will only do so if you are serious about your work and your business. And how are you serious about it? You have to be punctual yourself. You have to make sure that you're following all the rules. It's just that I feel like, but I definitely think that times are now changing, and thanks to all the girls who've been doing it since before I started, and I feel like up to it's easier to be in the industry, but the struggles are still
absolutely there. Like what you said is so relevant, that the bigger names that we have in the industry, and just generally the upcoming female, there are also female entrepreneurs and female photographers that are coming up, and we absolutely can't wait for female power to sort of take that over. So Samana, my question to you would be, photography often involves like a unique perspective and storytelling just generally. So my question would be like, how do you approach the art of visual storytelling through your photography?
So when we talk about visual storytelling, it requires a lot of research also before the shoot, and what comes under research is your mood board and the vibe that you're going for. So that's something that you need to again sit with your client, talk about it, that this is the sort of mood that I want for my shoot, and then we start planning. And when we plan, it's not just the proper frames and compositions. While composition is a very important factor, I also believe in composing small details. So like holding hands can tell such a great story about somebody. So capturing fleeting moments, capturing movement, capturing action, so all of these things, they help creating a story, and also the sequence and flow with which you're shooting, right? For instance, even if it's like a couple shoots, the way they're coming in, the way they're interacting with each other, the way they're like walking, leaving, it all creates a story. So at the end of the day, I feel like the sequence also really matters with which you're shooting. And one thing that I really do, I would say I do not turn my camera off at the shoot. It just keeps capturing, and that's what visually shows what we're trying to do and really capture the essence of it.
I feel like that totally makes sense. I feel like all of what you said is kind of encapsulated on your Instagram page. When you go to your page and like check that out, like it's kind of reflective. I feel like the storytelling board is like kind of reflective of your Instagram page. So totally that makes sense. Samana, you recently said that you recently like entered the wedding photography space. So I'm sure like you must have encountered several challenges while photographing couples, because you said arranged marriages. So many other challenges keep coming up. So do you have any can you tell us a bit about any challenges challenges that you've perhaps encountered, and also can you talk about any general tips that you have for couples who have their photo shoots coming up in the next like few days?
Right. So the first thing I would say is to be comfortable around your photographer as well as with each other. So there are a lot of couples like they are a little awkward with each other. I feel like having a pre-consultation session with your photographer is very, very important. So everybody's on the same page and you know what you should be expecting, because a lot of times women know what they're expecting but men are like, acha ye bhi karna hai, acha aise bhi karna hai. You know, like wo thoda sa hota hai ki you need to like really know what you're getting yourself into. That's the first thing that you should really look into. Other than that, I feel like for photographers, if they use natural light, that's better because it's a more natural environment and that's going to give you more natural shots. Studio-based shots are, again, they're very artsy and they're beautiful, but if the couple is, if you know your client, I feel like photographers should recommend settings or spaces that are more comfortable. For instance, like in Pakistan, if you're doing an outdoor shoot, you should choose a place where there are not a lot of people looking at you, right? So there's a sense of privacy as well, so you can, just be yourself, because it's very easy to say be yourself, but jab itne log aapko dekh rahe hote hain, it's really not easy. So I feel like and I feel like for photographers, like for me, when I am working, I try my best not to be in my clients' faces all the time. I try to like blend in with the background, because that's where, and I tell them, I'm like, imagine you're alone, imagine I'm not here, imagine this team is not here, and really embrace the moment. Close your eyes, feel it, hold hands, like not just hold hands to pose, because then if you ask them haath pakde hain, they'll just be like stiff like this, right? But if you if you ask them to hold hands and like, hug her, kiss her, like, like the way, like just feel it, and that's what really brings out the feelings. And I feel like that's where communication comes into place. That's where you have to be a good communicator. You have to make sure that you don't make it awkward for them. You have to like really set the mood and the vibe, and that's when I tell them to like loosen up a little bit also. I'm like, and I can't just be like, okay, you look very stiff, you look like a statue. I can't say that. So I'm like, you know what, you just loosen up a little bit. And sometimes when somebody is really awkward, I also take them to a side and like I have a conversation with them. I'm like, listen, it's okay, it's all good. I've been there. And me being married, I feel like really helps me here, because I'm like, you know what, I was also in your position once.
You already went through all of it.
You're fine, so I feel like experience really helps, because I've been a client and I've been a photographer. So that really helps.
Fair, that makes perfect sense to me. And congratulations on your marriage as well. I feel like you recently got married.
I mean, it's been 2.5 years now.
Oh, so that's amazing. Okay, so Samana, like my question to you would be, you told us about how you plan these mood boards, you create mood boards for every client that you do have. So, we haven't really dig deep into, like what's your process post, like a shoot, or, like what's your process or approach to post-production and editing, and how do you just ensure that the edits are sort of encapsulating and enhancing the overall quality of the photographs that you sort of take?
So we've been doing this for a long time, like photography. I've been doing it since 2018, and I feel like I've learned so much as a photographer. And the reason why people, and I have a lot of returning clients, by the way, like even for family shoots, like there's this one client I have, she came to me for her newborn, and she came to me for 6 months, for 1 year, and then for 3rd year, for 2nd year, and then her nani once said, "Jab uski shaadi hogi na, aap uski shaadi bhi karna." So the point is that the reason I feel like I get recurring, repeating clients is because my work is very consistent, and I try to keep it that way. And one way to do that is to have your own style to stand out in the market. And how do I achieve that? I achieve that by I'm going to be a little more technical here. I have my own presets. I don't like buy presets from photographers. The presets are like settings that you have. So अगर मैंने एक shoot किया, and if I really like the settings, my editing settings, I save them and I name them, and then I use the same settings and I tweak them according to the shoot. हर दफ़ा ये नहीं होता कि बस एक filter लगा दिया. It's not that. It's a lot of work also on top of that. But I try to be up to date with my softwares. I try to like use AI in my work to help me like make the process faster. So there's a lot that I do to make sure that my work stays consistent.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, we've talked about your post-production editing things, and I feel like post-production, especially for videos, something that's very, very instrumental or plays a very instrumental role is the music. So, we're going to be talking a bit about that now. So, Samana, could you describe the process of choosing music for like a wedding video perhaps, or, could you just suggest, how do you finalize music preferences? Like, do you consult the couples, or do you consult couples that you're sort of photographing, or do you go with your own judgment when finalizing music?
So talking about music, now the thing is you cannot look at it in isolation. So you have to consider a wedding video as a film. It's not just the pehle zamane mein movies kehte hain na, it's not like just a wedding movie. It's like a whole process. It's a film where you start from your like your planning part, then you move on to your execution part, and then you're in your post production. So you have to really think it through. So it's not practical for you to leave the music for the end. कि हम end में करेंगे. And then you have to, like, sometimes people even record music for their wedding films, and which is something that I would love to do in the future, inshallah. So for me, I feel like once I know what my client wants, once I get the brief from my client, and I know if it's modern or if it's traditional, I know which direction I'm taking. That's when I start brainstorming, and that's when I start looking for music, and that's when I'm like, okay, this would like really resonate with the client as well, because sometimes they're like, it's up to you. आप choose करें आपको जो समझ आ रहा है, and sometimes they're like, नहीं हमें यही गाना चाहिए, and honestly there have been times when that song didn't really go with the whole, but that's where you have to like really step in as a photographer and as an artist, and like explain it to them, I get it, this has a sentimental value for you, but this would be better. So we give options again, because it's like you're working with the client together. But so once we're done with the storyboarding, once we know कि अच्छा हमें these are the shots that I want, कि पहले drone का shot चाहिए, फिर हमें एक सामने से shot चाहिए, फिर हमें detail shot चाहिए, all of that.
Yeah.
Then we shortlist the music, and then I try my best to align that, synchronize that with the music. So whatever lyrics you're listening to, I would also want the lyrics and the visual perspective to match. I wouldn't want कि lyrics कुछ कह रही हो, visually कुछ और हो रहा है. Like it has to synchronize with each other. So choosing a song, it's not just your favorite song. It's a lot more than that, and it has to all blend in and come together. So I feel like it's a collective effort, and also my team really helps me out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for myself as like an audience, like talking from an audience's perspective, like when I look at like a certain video, like if I like the music, if I find it catchy enough, then only like, so I'd click on the video. And I feel like, you saying that a lot of times people, choose songs that have like sentimental values for them. I feel like Bollywood kind of like started this thing where even actresses are like singing songs for their like own weddings. Like, we've had big Bollywood weddings where we've seen all of that. So I feel like that trend's kind of like flowing in, coming in for sure. And I feel like Maria Khan's wedding was like a very true,
beautiful wedding for sure.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts about that?
I feel like everything was perfectly done. I mean, both the photographers were amazing, the videography is amazing, and I love how they've used drones, and they've like really captured, and it's all in Pakistan. I mean,
true.
It's a destination.
A destination wedding, and how they encapsulated all the memories. It's just like I feel like it was perfect. I feel like that kind of has set us in a rhythm for like our next like thing that we're going to proceed on into as well, which is like something very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. Our rapid fire round. So we're going to be proceeding on to our rapid fire. Are you excited about that, Samana?
I am excited for
so the drill to go about the rapid fire is just that I'm going to be like throwing in some burning questions to you, and you're just going to try to be as quick as possible with your answers.
Okay.
So my first question is film or digital?
Film.
Favorite photography location?
Italy.
Okay. Natural light or studio lighting?
Natural.
Okay. Favorite lens?
50 mm 1.2.
Biggest photography challenge?
Babies.
Yeah, that's a fair one. Dream photography project?
Documenting generational love, just making a film and documenting generations and how they...
Black and white or color?
Black and white.
Top 3 photograph tips, like photography tips.
Shoot raw, break the rules, and learn to love your light. Whatever you have available, learn to love it.
So are you like an early morning or golden hour lover?
Ideally early morning, but golden hour, because I work better in the evening.
Okay. Top 3 pre-shoot rituals.
I detach myself. I do not think about the shoot right before. It's like an exam, like, if it's a big shoot, you're a little nervous. But detach yourself, chill, have a cup of coffee, and then just gear check before you leave. Make sure everything is working.
Yeah. And can you tell us about your most memorable photography moment, Samana?
There are many. I feel like my own Rukhsati.
Aww,
because my team did that.
Yeah,
so.
That's a fair call. Any photographer that sort of inspires you?
In Pakistan?
No, it could be anywhere around the world.
The wedding filmers are great.
Okay, that's amazing. So, any favorite photography accessory that you do have?
Lenses. I love camera lens.
And any best photography advice that you've shared and you'd want to share with other people as well?
Just focus on the emotions. Do not focus on posing. Emotions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Best photography subject? You said babies are like the hardest to deal with.
They're the hardest, but they're also the cutest and the best. I feel like I have so much control while shooting babies that it's just pure love.
Okay, so that was my last question for the rapid fire. So now we're going to be talking a bit about the future plans, like getting into the serious stuff a bit. So Samana, where do you see Samanah Ansari photography in the next 5 years?
I see it growing for sure, inshallah. I really want to work on a strong brand presence globally as well as here in Pakistan. We are already, mashallah, in 3 cities now: Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad. I also I wanted one thing that a diverse portfolio, and that's one thing that we're working on, and I want it to be more diverse. We're doing corporate and weddings as well, but I want to expand in all these series as well. And other than that, I feel like collaboration with international photographers is something very important, and that's something that I'm looking forward to, and internationally expanding my business would be the goal to have. And other than that, workshop and training, because I, as a person, I want to share my knowledge, and I want to teach people as well, and teaching is just something that I thoroughly enjoy. So I feel like that's one thing that I would love to do, because I've taken so many workshops now, it's about time that I give them. So I do see my business as also an educational institute in the future, because I would love to share what I have.
That's interesting. We can't wait to see what's in store for you, and I hope there's amazing things planned, like God has planned for you. So Samana, like there's a lot of emerging technologies that are sort of coming in, and how do you plan to leverage these emerging technologies to use them for Samanah Ansari photography, so you can stay ahead of the curve whilst being competitive in the market?
Achha, so talking about technology, I feel like there's so much that needs to be done, because for instance, using augmented reality in photos, other than that, using social media as a tool as well, because I feel like there's so much that can be achieved with social media itself, and then having a strong brand presence online, like a website online, and this is one thing that I really would like to do in the future. Right now when we book a shoot, we have this conversation with our client, and that's how we do it, but I would eventually want to switch it completely to a website where the client can just answer all the questions.
So what's the current process of booking?
The current process of booking is just having a direct conversation. I feel like that does help my clients feel more secure if they have any questions, but then again I feel like that's like a longer process.
Fair, yes.
So that, and other than that, again, AI for post-production, not just in photos but also in videos, and we're already using drones. So drone was something that was on my list, but we're already using drones and top of the line equipment. So just we just need to keep up with times, I feel like.
Okay, Samana, you said in the rapid fire that Italy is like your favorite photography destination, right? So firstly, where in Italy exactly?
So I shot at Lake Como for the first time.
Oh damn!
Yeah, and there was a lot of fun also, because I don't know, like it was just the lighting there was perfect. It was a good day to shoot.
Yeah.
And not just that, honestly, cityscape as well. I would love to shoot in the city, like not just like lakes and places like those, but also like.
What about Santorini? Like it's really.
Santorini is beautiful. I haven't been
Greece,
there, but yeah, I haven't been there, but I would love to. And the thing is, like, we do travel a lot, and that's something that like my husband and I both are very passionate about. So my camera always goes with me, so that's how I end up doing shoots there. But that's when I'm there, I don't think of photography as work. I just think of it as as something that I'm really genuinely enjoying, and then I end up taking pictures of people on the street as well. And like
I feel like this is kind of amalgamated into like my next question, which was going to be about are there any particular locations or destinations that you perhaps have in your mind that you want to explore in the future, and also like how do you plan to incorporate travel and exploration as part of your photography career in the next few years?
I feel like me being able to travel before, and like I know how, like, what locations I like. I can suggest my clients as well that what can work for them, especially in Europe, because I feel like I've seen so much.
Absolutely.
But honestly, this is something that I'm open to, because even when my clients come to me, I don't want to do like very typical touristy spots, because everybody's seen those, right? Yeah. We want to explore it, and it's honestly, it's not even about like a famous landmark, like a landmark or a famous building. It's about the small alleys and like the like the nodes in the center of the road. Like you can just it doesn't have to be a super pretty location either. It's about how light interacts with space. It's about how people interact with each other. It's a lot more. I mean, yes, location plays a very, very important role, but it doesn't have to be like a really famous place. So that's what I tell my clients as well.
Yeah.
If they want to shoot internationally. But having said that, destination weddings are, again, they're always at like pretty locations like Thailand and Bali, and that's on my list. Like, inshallah, like in the future, I would love to cover weddings that are international.
Yeah, that's amazing. That totally makes fair sense. Like, locations do play definitely like an important part, but I feel like it's the people that sort of create the aura. Yeah, that's at the aura for your picture. So, Samana, you know, like, you're a thriving like entrepreneur, and I'm sure like you have amazing things coming ahead for you in the future. So, do you have any tips for any female photographers in the industry that want to sort of create a mark for themselves in the next few years as well?
Yeah, I would say if you're just starting out, you don't need a fancy equipment to start out. All you need is a good window for lighting and a basic camera, and start practicing, and practice so much that you know what you enjoy, what you really like doing. Develop a nice, develop your style. See what speaks to you, basically, and yes, look at other photographers, look at what they're doing, but also focus on yourself. Like, don't look at them so much that you're like, acha bas mujhe yahi banna hai. No, like that way you'll kind of, you know, like you will not let yourself grow. So in order for you to grow, you should figure out what you like. So experiment. I feel like experimentation would be like my first advice, and then other than that, have a strong portfolio. And it's okay if you have to, like, you know, work hard and do like a couple of shoots for free. Again, do not be exploited by people, but then like do a couple of shoots for free, make your portfolio, use social media as your tool, because that's something like that's free, and that you can like literally just put your work out there. And networking is a very, very important thing. Like, I feel like because you're not just an artist, but you're also a business person or a businesswoman, you really need to bring them two together, and networking and marketing, it plays a very, very, very important role.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm also learning a lot in the process of everything that's like going on, and I can totally like resonate with what you're saying.
And
as well.
One thing that I would love to add is be resilient, because this takes time. It does not, like, it's not just going to be like you take one picture, wo viral hogi, and bus you're a famous photographer. It doesn't work like that. So you have to be resilient. You have to
take baby steps. I mean,
baby steps, yes, for sure.
Yeah, baby steps is what takes you the long way. So, Samana, now I feel like that's all for all the questions, but I feel like now we're moving on to something very interesting. It's called, it's called Guests Playlist, where all the guests that come to our podcast, they sort of share their song recommendations, 2 to 3 song recommendations that our listeners could perhaps listen to. In your case, it could be anything related to, you know, like your personal recommendations, or, you know, anything that you use for your wedding a videography or anything like that. So if you have any 2 to 3 song recommendations that I could listen to, our listeners could listen to, that would be great.
I feel like it's not going to be wedding related at all. I am a big fan of Pakistani music now, and especially the newer artists that are coming. It's funny because I was in Ibiza like last month, and we were at an electronic festival. We made friends there, and I literally converted them. मैं जाके उनको अपना Spotify देख के Abdul Hanan सुना रही थी. So like I love that. I love my music, and I feel like it's so deep. The lyrics are so deep, like they really speak to you. So just to like chill and, you know, like relax, I listen to Pakistani music, and I feel like Sia is one of the songs that I love. And it's a beautiful song.
I saw him perform that live, and it was just amazing.
It's beautiful, yes. And Gawara is a really fun song. I feel like my playlist right now is literally all Abdul Hanan, so I can only just...
Have you seen him perform live? Like,
I would love to, actually.
He came to our university, and it was just amazing. So I feel like, do you have any closing remarks for our podcast? Because that's kind of like sets a rhythm for the whole thing. And like now we're nearing the end. I feel like this conversation has been super interesting. Do you have any thoughts?
I had a lot of fun talking to you about this, and I'm so glad that you guys are giving a platform to all female photographers to come and talk about their work. And other than that, I feel like there are times when I feel like, you know, things are not going in the right direction, because no matter how long you've been in the business, there are going to be ups and downs, of course, like in any other business. But that is where you need to stay resilient, and that is where you need to tell yourself that not everybody will be pleased with your work, or not, because again, it's art, right? Art is relative. You don't like something that you like, others might not like that, but just because somebody else doesn't like it doesn't mean that it's not good. So you have to really define your worth and your value, and you have to tell yourself that, you know, what you're creating. Having said that, also be open to constructive criticism. Because again,
Absolutely.
that is very, very important to grow, because the moment you tell yourself, "Ki, "Acha, bas ye, I'm the best," no, that's the end of it, right? So
Yeah.
you have to be open, you have to like, if you get to travel, do that, see how like, people are doing it internationally. And I feel like follow people on social media, especially international photographers, keep up with the trends, stay, with the times and see what's happening in the world.
That's amazing. I had a lovely time speaking to you as well. I'm so glad that you gave us the opportunity to sort of interview you. We're at, Dawat USA is actually really happy that we're able to bring people from the event space to come together and talk about what, makes events, worth it. So thank you so much for the conversation. Had a lovely time talking to you. And bye. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.